make sure that their money is in the right places, headed in their direction and not anyone else's. And I didn't know what that meant. So I asked her, what does that mean, Mom?
I'm taking care about that situation. It's more opportunities are coming my way, and I'm like, wow, where is this coming from? I didn't know about those things before.
You really want to be careful about that territory, because what all those shiny things are not necessarily gold. In fact, in many cases, it can be quite the opposite. Because we can't reverse time. And yes, we.
So thank you very much, Rick, for coming for my Business Breakthrough podcast. It's very nice having you in here. And would you mind maybe start sharing about what is it you do, where are you based, so we can get to know you a little bit more?
I'm Rick Salmeron. I'm an independent financial advisor in Dallas, Texas. I started in this business a long time ago. So I'm looking at 35 years right now. So I'm independent.
Wow.
I help a lot of successful people who are doing really well, who are making good money, make sure that their money is in the right places, headed in their direction and not anyone else's. So I like to say, grow your money, grow your wealth, and grow your life, because money at the end of the day is a tool to support a great life in a lot of areas. It's not something that we put on in a picture frame and we shine it, we place it on the piano bench to look at all day. We actually want to use it, right? So when you take care of that resource, then your life is taken care of pretty well too.
Absolutely. Very good. Thank you very much for sharing. So you mentioned you are doing it already for 35 years, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So you
actually longer than that. There's a story behind that, but officially 35 years ago in 1990.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the story if you want to hear it.
Yeah, I would like to hear it. It's funny because I was just born year after, 1991. So you are doing it even longer than I'm alive. So you must have a lot of experience. So yeah, please share the story.
The story goes like this. I was 8 years old. I was born and raised in Oklahoma City, in Oklahoma, here in the United States. And on a Saturday morning, I was enjoying my breakfast at the kitchen table, and my mother approached me and she said, Rick, I've got something very special for you today. And I asked her, what, Mom? She said, today we're going to go to a place called a savings and loan, and we are going to open up a savings account for you. And I didn't know what that meant. So I asked her, what does that mean, Mom? She replied, well, see, honey, if you let them keep your money, they will pay you money for keeping your money. I still didn't quite get it, but I was 8 years old. But what was good for my mom was good for me. So I dropped my spoon in my Post Toasties. We went to the car. We drove to the savings and loan. I proceeded to empty my pockets, all these coins, several weeks worth of my allowance spending on the counter. There was about $10 there. And my mother matched another $10. So I opened up my first savings account with 20 bucks. It wasn't until 90 days later, Vincent, I got my first statement in the mail. And that $20 grew to $20.15.
Okay.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
It was true. You mean all I had to do was just like let the money sit there and it does its thing? If I take care of my money this way, it will take care of itself. That was a light bulb moment that I can still remember. I'm 60 years old. I can still remember that as if it was last weekend. I remember the weather. I remember the environment. That turned on a light switch. And when I went through school, went through university, went through a few years of corporate America that I didn't like, it occurred to me, what can I do that I would really enjoy? I was single. I didn't have any dependents. I wanted to be my own business owner. And this moment in my life stands out as a very significant memory. And I looked back at all my other behaviors since that without really realizing it. This became part of my DNA, these habits of saving. I invested in my first stock at age 18. I bought my first house at age 22. I maxed out on my company's retirement plan with that first job without even thinking a second thought, and figured out how to live off of that. So it was something that was ingrained in me. So I figured, gosh, this was natural for me, but I'll bet you it's not natural for a lot of people. And that's what got me thinking and going, wow, I can be an entrepreneur in this space. I can create a business where I can share what to other people might be secrets, but they're not secrets to me, so that they can carry on with their lives and watch their money grow at the same time too. So that's how it started.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's a great story because I could relate to the exactly opposite story, where my parents wouldn't teach me anything like that, and the only saying was always like, "Oh, that money, there will always be some money," and they would basically, if they needed something, they would basically buy it even on the loan or something, and they would never have any savings. Like until today, they don't have any savings, and I'm breaking that pattern for 10 years. It's been very difficult, challenging, reading books and building that habit, being strong, and teaching my kids. But it is not easy. If you don't start when you are young, it's difficult. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not easy. All great things in life do not come with ease. We need to take steps in the right direction. They're not comfortable steps. They're not supposed to be.
Yeah.
But everything that we want that's great in our life, whatever that might be that's missing in our lives, will require effort. There's no getting around that, right? I wish that there was a way, but there isn't a way. Once I find that way, I'll make sure I'm on your show next and I'll tell the world how to do that. But it's not how it works, right?
Absolutely. And is there any kind of, I don't know, I understand it's probably different for everybody, but it's kind of like some formula where basically you would say like, okay, if you, either you have a business or you have a job and you make, this is how much you make, 100%. So how much I would invest in what kind of percentage wise in order to kind of people can have some growth, but also they are safe. And is there anything you could share or you are using with your clients?
There are many different yardsticks and rules of thumb that people have heard, and some stick with them. I think one that's really a healthy one is 20%. Whatever income that you're making, if you're able to carve out 20% of that and allocate it in a manner that not only replenishes and builds up your short-term emergency, or what I like to call life happens fund, but also allocate a good portion of that in long-term investing, long-term investments to build and grow wealth. The 20% rule is a really good, healthy one. It's an uncommon household that I run across where people are actually putting aside that amount. Doing something is better than doing nothing at all. If I were to share and show people what the 100% solution is so that they can have a retirement pot of gold that is so strong they can retire 5 years sooner than they want, or what on the time frame that they want. If I show them what that 100% solution is, that might feel really intimidating. Going back to, if we want great results in our life, that requires great actions, right? Yeah. But that might be the 100% solution, but at least there's something that people can do today between nothing at all and that 100% solution just to get going. And I would submit that everyone listening to this show has some magic 100% solution, and they're approaching it in some fashion, but I'll bet they can turn the dial up another notch or two. Yeah. All of us can do that in many respects of our life, but saving and investing is certainly one of them. I never, ever met an individual or a family or a couple who retired one day and said, you know what, Rick, I think looking back, we saved too much for our retirement. That's never happened.
Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah, it's. I think it's a lot about changing that kind of a mindset, right? Because you are obviously focusing on the future a lot, and people need to think ahead. And when I'm putting this 10 or 20% aside every month, it seems like it's costing me now, right? So I'm kind of not having it now. So it's like thinking really ahead, and it's it can be difficult, right?
Yeah. What does the saying go? An apple a day does what? It keeps the doctor away, right? It's not the Hershey bar that keeps the doctor away. It's the apple that keeps the doctor away. So really what it comes down to, yes, with your health, but also with your money health, is the habits that you do day in and day out. It's really not complicated. It's very simple. It's not easy, but it's very simple. So this apple or Hershey bar, we have a choice today of either doing the apple or doing the Hershey bar. Yeah. It's like where are we going to feel the pain, later or now, right? So that goes with your pocketbook too. That goes with your balance sheet. That goes with the business if you're running the business. What are those steps that you're taking today? Take a look at what those steps are are happening in your day-to-day, and are those steps in the direction that you want? And if they're not, then that gives you an idea and a red flag of what needs to change. Because it really comes down to people's habits. Once again, it's not complicated, it's very simple, but it's not easy. If you take a look at your results, your financial results, look at your balance sheet, look at your income statement, look at the success or lack of success with your business, results are very interesting because they're often harsh, but they're always fair. They're just a direct reflection of the habits that we did yesterday and last week and last month and last year and the last 5 and 10 years. Those habits, those actions that we're taking, those actions that we're avoiding taking, we're planting seeds in the ground every single day. And those seeds are either germinating right away, or they're germinating over time, or they're not germinating at all, but the resulting garden of those seeds that we planted show up in our life results. And that goes with our net worth, our income, like I said, your balance sheet, your pocketbook, your bank account, and so on. So if you take a look at those life results and you're very happy with what you see, then keep on doing what you're doing. If, on the other hand, you see a gap, gosh, I wish I could be somewhere else, then that identifies something that needs to change on a daily, day in and day out basis.
Absolutely. And you mentioned that some of the, for example, when you work with a client, some of the portion of the money would be obviously for these short-term needs. If something goes on, like you mentioned, life happens, and after also they need to think about the long-term investment. What if people don't know where to invest? I don't know what everything you can share, but it's like, what could be the options for people to invest for long term? Somebody is, let's say, thinking more ahead and, is really, want to put 10% of their income aside. What could be the long term kind of things what they can do?
The answer is many different things. The simpler, the better, however. I'm a big fan of the stock market and equities. There's, of course, real estate can be a very powerful asset class. There are others but those can be, you start to go up the pyramid, so to speak, of the investment choices. The higher that you go, the higher potential of, say, return there is, but there's also higher potential for risk too. So everyone has their own, what I call Goldilocks temperature. Right? She had the 3 porridge bowls in the story. One was too hot, one was too cold, and the other one was just right. You want to size up some kind of, if it's long-term wealth accumulation, what kind of long-term plan that I can feel comfortable with, that's the right temperature for me, based on my family situation, based on my income, based on the assets that I do have. It's kind of like a shoe size fitting your foot. You want it to fit just right, so that you can do something that you can maintain and sustain. And that should be, I would say, regardless of wealth level, a mix of diversification of many different things. Stock market stuff, real estate stuff, perhaps some business stuff, perhaps some lower octane, so to speak, fixed income types of things. There's many different choices, but it doesn't really need to be complicated. It can be an assortment of ingredients that create and construct a recipe that will produce a financial dish, if you will, that's very digestible and very palatable for you moving ahead for the next 5 to 10 years and over time and even beyond. And over time, you take a look at it and you massage it and you add and you subtract and you figure out what does work and what doesn't work for your situation. Even your situation changes. So the recipe may work today, but it may not be a good fit in 10 years or so. So it's not something that's cemented and set in stone. It needs to be in clay so that you can mold it and morph it and massage it as needed. And it's really hard to do that on your own. You can do it on your own, for sure. Many people do it on their own, and more power to them. But that's why financial advisors exist, to help look over your shoulder and cast an independent set of eyes that doesn't have a whole lot of emotion and wrapped up in it also, that can give you some really sound and solid guidance that's in your best interest. Like I said earlier, making sure that your money is in the right places for you, for your future, so it's headed in your direction and not some other direction that you don't want it to be in.
Absolutely, yeah. It's very interesting because I'm from Czech Republic originally, and for 3 years I was being a financial kind of advisor, consultant, for one company. And we are doing the basic stuff over there, like you would do. We are maximizing the products what people can have, or they were actually having them, but just optimizing them, like life insurance and pensions. Like we had different type of kind of a pension savings, and for kind of home refurbishment, you can buy a home. So there was like this kind of products. So we were optimizing them. And after when people had those three main products optimized on the maximum, so they are getting the best benefits on taxes and everything the best. So then, and they would still have more money, so we would offer them something else. And this something else was kind of something like in real estate, but it was like a phone. So people would be expecting to make around 6% a month, a year. And I'm like, yeah, it's pretty good. And my cousin told me, I remember, because he was there longer, and he said like, yeah, once you be on a higher level, you don't know where to make 10%. And this is like 12 years ago. And I'm like, 10%? Really? You know, there are things where you can make 10%. I was like, I couldn't believe him. And now it's so funny because we are in touch with my cousin after a very long time, like since last December, like we were in touch, but now because of some investments, because we are more successful in here with business, so we have some more money. So like, okay, let's invest. And suddenly one thing, investing, we are getting more involved with that. It's making good money. Now, okay, let's diversify somewhere else to another investment. And now today he told me about third investment, which I didn't even know that there is another one. And it's just like, seems like more I'm taking care about that situation. It's more opportunities are coming my way. And I'm like, wow, where is this coming from? I didn't know about those things before. So it's really interesting. And it's becoming easier, like once when it's getting there.
Well, I would say over time, especially in the advent of social media and how information just floods us on a second by second basis, right? That the population of alternatives, of investment alternatives and choices, and where can we put our money? It really becomes, in my view, potentially a very high danger zone of the shiny object syndrome. You really want to be careful about that. Meaning, what I mean by that is that something will emerge out of what appears to be thin air or nowhere, that's like the magic potion or the incredible tablet, if you want to call it, that you just take and boom, watch your money multiply. And then 6 months later, here comes another one. And then 6 months later, here comes another one. You really want to be careful about that territory, because all those shiny things are not necessarily gold. In fact, in many cases, it can be quite the opposite. Just be careful is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because we can't reverse time. And yes, we can, if we lose money in a particular area, we have the potential to get it back, but you don't want to find yourself digging yourself out of holes. And that's where you need to be cautious. That's where you need to have some really good guidance, like I said, by your side, whoever it might be. Make sure that you're getting information that's sound and secure and solid and seasoned. That's my alliteration for the day, for your finances. Because those decisions that you make can sometimes really barely turn the needle, but sometimes they can really majorly turn the needle. So you want to be careful about the decisions that you're making, or also the decisions that you're avoiding.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's really good to kind of. But I don't know who was it, but I think it was someone who was mentioning like if we could put like a 30% aside from I was hearing it from Jim Rohn. He was saying like 10% you give to charity, 10% you put in your savings, in your if something happens account, so you are fine, and 10% you can invest in something which can be a little bit more, risky, but also you can make much more faster. So it's kind of I like kind of this kind of idea where I know I have something safer, but I know something that can really go up. And it's the same with business. I have a few businesses, so it's a business. We never know where it's gonna go, or licensing will change, something regulations will change, and it can go all wrong. But it can go also right. Yeah.
It does come down to behavior. It's very little having to do with investment selection. This sounds strange and odd, but it's true. It's not to be ignored, don't get me wrong. The investment selection part is critical. However, in my view, it's about 10% of the entire pie. Once you find the something, the shoe that fits your foot, the porridge that's the right temperature for you, once you find that, the hard part begins. And that's your behavior, your human emotions. They're easily to get in the way with something that's really solid. So many times I see people making human mistakes of freaking out when things get bad, feeling really invincible and greedy when things are robust. You want to be careful about the decisions that you make when you're swallowed up in fear or anxiety or greed, when something is going up, and it feels like the only direction is up.
Yeah.
We tend, as humans, want to get on the train when it's really high, thinking that there's no risk there. But ironically, that's when the highest risk is, when something is peaking. That's the moment just before the lights shot out, and then things start to come down, because everything doesn't stay up forever. So that's going back to the diversification thing. You want to be in solid places. That's why that 10% investment selection is very, very important. But after that, what good does that do you if your human beingness gets in the way and wants to go in and help your money out by taking things out at terrible times or putting more in at terrible times? That can really mess up a very well-constructed long-term investment plan.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So watch out.
Yeah, good. And cool. And I was just wondering to ask you, obviously I'm very new to part of the JT Fox family insiders. And so how long are you involved with JT Fox? And can you maybe share why did you join? And
Sure. I met him on Clubhouse back in late 2020 during the middle of the pandemic. And I think it was early 2021 where after multiple times of him offering on Clubhouse, click here, free coaching and so on. So I figured, well, what do I have to lose? But let me go ahead and take this mini risk. I was at a business level that was okay. I didn't have anything really major to complain about, but I knew that there was a higher level there somewhere. I knew that there was something better, bigger, stronger that I was unable to attain on my own. So why not? Let me see what this free coaching is all about. And that was, like I said, early 2021. And I mean, as they say, the rest is history after that. After that, I discovered what new heights could really be and how to get there, and learning about the things that I should be doing and the things that I shouldn't be doing. Because we all have blinders, right? We can only see so much in our life. We don't know what we don't know. And JT has been incredible about showing me in spotlight fashion, in 3D, high def, 8K fashion, those areas that you can literally just turn on a lever and light up a flip on a switch inside you, because that's what happened to me. Flipped on a switch inside myself that I could become a bigger, better, stronger, more incredible, not just business owner, but human being. And that makes a big, big difference in business. And that makes a big, big difference in life. And I'm a true believer of that. So I'm very grateful for the support that I've received from him.
Amazing, yeah. That's very good, yeah. What do you think about him being very direct and telling you right to the point?
Well, I'd rather know what I'm doing wrong sooner than later.
Yeah.
If I want to feel good about what I'm doing and feel good about myself, then I'll pick up my cat and I'll start petting my cat and feel the purr. I got that here already. What I lack is that person looking from the outside in, and just like I'm a financial advisor to people's money habits and their money and what they're doing and what they're not doing, I need someone to show me those ways, those paths that I'm completely clueless on, or I'm going down that I shouldn't be going down. And we all need that additional dose of rocket fuel to shoot our rocket to the next level, don't we? Because we can try to do it on our own. I can certainly walk from Dallas to Scotland, but it will take me forever. I'd rather take a jet plane to get there, right? And I can't do that jet plane on my own. I need a help with a co-pilot. I need a crew. I need the support of amazing, incredible people to help me get to whatever that next level is for me. And JT is certainly on that ship with me, in addition to other people.
Good. And are you yourself involved with any of the other businesses, like he's talking about M&A or real estate or anything like that?
I'm a financial advisor by trade. I'm a husband to an amazing wife. I'm a father to 2 incredible children. I'm a father to 4 cats here at the house. I'm a big avid hot yoga student. I am a traveler. I am a person who lives an incredible life. And I'm a huge student and a huge advocate of personal development and personal growth. That's, in my view, that's really where it really begins. When I invest in myself and I pursue the next version 2.0 of Rick, then although that appears to be selfish, it's actually not, because everyone in my life accrues the benefits of that kind of effort and energy and money that I spend in that arena.
Absolutely, yeah, and we need to grow as a people, progress, equal happiness. So it's very important.
Either grow or decay. There's nothing in between, and I choose growth.
Yeah, me too. And is there any events where you, for example, been in USA and you would recommend people to go for personal growth? A part of JT's. I don't know. I've not been to many.
I find JT's events a version of personal growth for me, for sure, but it's also business growth too.
Yeah, it's a lot of business.
But there was a 3-day course that I took myself in July of 2017 that my wife introduced me to, that if I looked back, it was that moment that was life-changing, that moved the trajectory of my life from here to here. And back then I felt like I was not good enough. I was not worthy. I was, what value do I give to the world? That's what my subconscious was saying. And when I discovered that voice of my subconscious saying those things, it became so crystal clear why I had the results in my life, because I was taking actions to support that inside belief system. That's how we are human beings. We have belief systems, whether we realize it or not, that are inside us, that are this silent partner sitting on our shoulder, that say things like, you're not worthy of this, you're not good enough for this, right? I'm not good enough to be on stage. I'm not good enough to be a guest on a podcast. This is what my voice was telling me years ago. Yeah. And when I discovered that, wow, no wonder I'm not taking actions in this area. No wonder I'm not married to an amazing woman, because that's consistent with what I believed about myself, that I didn't deserve a great wife, that I didn't deserve to be on stage, that I didn't deserve to be a guest on a podcast. What value do I have to add to the world? What could I say out of my voice that would be worth anyone listening to? That was my mindset. And when I discovered that, this is what I'm talking about. It opens up this window where all of these qualities, these great qualities that I've had ever since a child, just been waiting to come out, now they're coming out.
Yeah.
Everyone has these. Everyone has these great qualities. We're all born with the same qualities. And it's just a matter of us discovering what can we do to change that belief about us to become the great people that we are, and to contribute to the world in ways that can show the world how great that we are. That's what's really been inspiring and motivating for me ever since that 3-day weekend class. I encourage anyone to pursue personal growth.
Yeah. My one of my favorites to listen on the walk is Jim Rohn. I really like him.
Jim Rohn is great.
Yeah.
He's fantastic.
I obviously discovered him because of Tony Robbins, firstly, because obviously he's not alive since I started with personal development. But it's like I was listening this one. It's a 40 years old video. It's on YouTube. It has a lot of views, and I think they are 1984 or something like that. And he's sharing their, it's 2 hours video, and it's like the things what he's saying 40 years ago, they are still applying today. It's so good to see. It's not like with technology where it evolves in 40 years a lot. With the personal growth, personal development, if there are some good speakers, good motivators, leaders, they can share those things. It's really moving for people. So do you have any favorite speakers who you like to, for I don't know, if sometimes you feel down, you want to listen to someone, is there anybody like that?
Jim Rohn is great. John DeMartini is also great.
Okay.
He's a very, very wise man. If you haven't checked him out, I'd encourage you. He's very big on values, and I'm very big on values also. That if you consider your own values, if you're able to define what your values are, and I've defined my values for myself personally, that if you define what your values are, at least consciously, yet you take a look at, again, your life results, subconsciously your values may be different. The values show up in your life results. So that's really kind of an interesting concept, but John D. Martini really lays it out very well of when you define your values, when you become focused and crystal clear on what you want your values to be, you'll find yourself taking actions towards pursuing those values. Right? Like health is a top value of mine. Family is a top value of mine. Personal growth is a top value of mine. Wealth accumulation and creation is a top value of mine. And integrity is a top value of mine. Those are my 5 top values in that order. If I don't have my health, I don't have anything. If I have my health and I don't have my family, with blood and inner circle, then my life is pretty miserable. It's more important for me to have family than it has a whole lot of money in the bank. But it's also nice to have a whole lot of money in the bank also. So that's why it's also up there in my top 5 values, and on and on and on. And that's not to say that should be everyone's top values. Everyone should have their own unique set of top values, as unique as their thumbprint, and pursue your life in that manner. But when you define those top values, yet you wonder, and this goes back to these daily habits that I was talking about earlier, if you literally pay attention to the actions that you take throughout the day, between sun up and sun down, just take a look and say, how much of this stuff was supporting what's important to me? Yeah. How many of these things were and were not supporting what I want to have happen in my life? And to me, a very revealing and a very enlightening exercise.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I was doing. I have very similar values what you shared, the health and family. I like. Yeah, it's good to have money, like you said, but it's. I would rather have laugh at my family, my children, and be living a simple life. But it's just it's good to have both, because you can obviously do a lot of different things. But definitely. Sure. And I was doing just last December we were doing an event with Tony Robbins. It was a Date with Destiny, and there was a lot about values, going away values from and moving towards values. We're making a whole big list of things like that. I have it actually on my vision board, like a big sheet of what we discussed. And there was a lot of about values, like full day on like 12 hours on values. It was pretty intense. But yeah, I totally agree. And also, first ever training I paid for, I remember it was $2,000. It was from Dean Graziosi and Tony Robbins, Knowledge Business Blueprint. He was sharing there about like when he's employing any people, he's not even looking for their skills as much as their values. Is because he said like skills can be trained, and he would rather have the right person which is close to the values what they have, and send him and pay him for a training and learn things, than have somebody who is having really good skills but they clash in values, so it's not going to be long term anyway. So I think it's super important what you shared. Amazing.
I agree.
Perfect. Yeah. So I think we're already chatting half an hour. It's going so quickly today. Wow. Thank you very much. I will ask you. I would like to ask you one more question. The podcast called Business Breakthroughs. So, would you mind sharing maybe one business breakthrough you had in the last, I don't know, how long you want? You are in the business 25 years, but maybe
one memorable breakthrough I would say was the realization that I had, and this goes quite a ways back. This is easily in the early 2000s. But at that time, in my capacity as a financial advisor, it was my belief that the value that I added to the marketplace was being a walking encyclopedia. I'm a left-brainer, right? Mm-hmm. So I like data, I like numbers. I like to joke that when I was a baby, my pillowcases were in the print of an Excel spreadsheet. That's not really true. but you get the idea. I was comfortable with math, and I still am. But back in the early 2000s, I thought that that's what the value was that I added to the marketplace, that I could recite laws and regulations and so on and so forth. And, you know, when it occurred to me one day, I was taking a look at my checkbook and I saw where I was spending my own money. Where were the places that I was writing a check to? Where were the places that I was spending my own money? And on a regular basis, where was I a repeat customer? And I found that I spent my money in places that made me feel important, made me feel special, made me feel heard and listened to. And I thought, wow, you know, maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe my value added is not, I can recite, you know, tax laws and so on. And that's important, don't get me wrong. It's very important for me to know those things and be able to share that with my clients. But in the end, who cares about that if you're not feeling special, if you're not feeling listened to, right? So that was really a paramount moment for me. I started to change. I started to shift my ongoing process. My strategy moved from being a wizard with data and instead being someone who was a wizard at making my clients feel seen. My clients feel heard. My clients feel listened to. My clients feel special. It was delivering an experience. I'm still working on it, okay? I haven't mastered it. But I like to say that my clients feel like a VIP while their money feels like a VIP. So that they can feel really good about the decision that they made to decide to work with Rick Salmeron. In fact, I want to do what I can to wow them, to take it above and beyond what the normal financial advisor experience would be, which is probably full of spreadsheets and numbers and data and reports that no one ever reads. You know, how about we turn it upside down and, like Starbucks created a boring product of coffee and elevated it to an experience? How could I do that as a financial advisor? So that's really something that's been a torch I've held inside my internal system for quite a long time. And I'm still looking on ways on how to perfect that and reach a new level of excellence.
Yeah, but it's really good. Like you mentioned, like this is what people need. They want the emotions and what they can actually have from that money.
We're all human. We're all human beings at the end of the day, and we all want to feel special.
Yeah.
We all want to feel loved, and I would submit that your money also has got a heartbeat. And when you start to treat your money like you treat your grandchild, your grandson, or your son, your daughter, or your loved one, when you shine and you give TLC to the important people, the important relationships in your life, those relationships grow. And when you give that similar attention, that similar energy, and that similar TLC to your money, guess what happens also?
Absolutely. Perfect. Thank you very much for sharing that. I really appreciate it, Rick. So, yeah, it was very nice having you for the podcast. It's really good to also meet you and to get to know you. I'm pretty sure I'll see you on the Mega Success, right, in November?
Yes.
Yes.
You'll
amazing.
see me there. Yeah.
That's awesome. So, yeah, thank you very much.